What's up, guys? Welcome to my first YouTube video on the Mattalksball YouTube channel, and where else is a better place to start? Manchester City's victory over Wolverhampton Wanderers 4-0, stunning game, and this wasn't just a routine win by the Blues. This was City showing that ruthless, clinical edge is back that so many Premier League teams over the years have feared. Last season, City was sleeping, that there is no doubt, but now the early signs are good. And this performance should terrify the rest of the league. So let's start with the most important thing. City were ruthless, like I said, absolutely clinical. Last season, too often, we dominate possession, create 20, 25 chances per game, and just we wouldn't be able to finish it off, you know. But against Wolves, we were clinical. Every attack, we looked dangerous. We looked like something was going to happen. Every time we went forward, we carried that threat, that dynamism. And Wolves, as soon as we got that first goal, you saw that they really struggled to get back into the game. Early on, they showed quite a bit of confidence. They carried a bit of threat as well with Larson, of course, up front. But like I say, as soon as we put that first goal in the back of the net from Erling Haaland, City were in control, which is what you just love to see on the opening day. But yeah, like I say, City, they sniffed blood and they punished Wolves. They really, really did. But the second big thing was our unpredictability in our play. Last season, so many times, it was so stagnant, just side to side, passing, with no actual threat. Very little risks being taken, but very unpredictable in our play yesterday. Two players that come to mind when I say that, Oscar Bobb and Rico Lewis, both down that right-hand side. Obviously, Rico at right back, Oscar Bobb having that phenomenal game in the right wing position. How good was it to see him back, by the way? Obviously, last season, many City fans will tell you, should have been his breakout year. Obviously, that struggled with injuries, etc., and meant that he was sidelined for pretty much the whole season. But nevertheless, he was back in the starting lineup, and he was fantastic. Maybe Oscar Bobb is the reason that Savinho might be going out the door. If he carries on playing like that, I'm not going to be complaining if Savinho goes out the door one bit. But yeah, they were linking up brilliantly down that right-hand side. We saw that with the first goal. Bob found Rico in that underlapping run, and then he fizzed it across ruthlessly. Just didn't think about it, instinctive. He just knew where Haaland was. Haaland was there at the back post, and he tapped it in. An easy goal, but a very Manchester City goal. One that we haven't really seen of late, especially last season. But let's, on Bob, on Lewis, I've got a few stats here. Oscar Bobb, he finished the game with 3 successful dribbles, 2 key passes and 1 assist, just highlighting just how impactful he was. And, you know, 2 key passes, 3 successful dribbles, that shows how many risks he was taking in those moments. And Rico Lewis as well had a great game. I think there was a lot of rumours going into the fixture. Is he going to go to Forest? You know, there's been them talks. I think it's safe to say we're better off keeping him. Obviously, we've got Matheus Nunes as another right-back option. Tino Livramento was linked as the summer window was going on. Now it looks like that is kind of dead in the water, and he was City's only real target in the right-back spot. But I think Rico Lewis showed what he's all about yesterday. Tenacious, offers a lot going forward in possession. And he actually won all 3 of his ground duels, which I think a lot of people wouldn't expect from Rico Lewis. Made 2 interceptions as well and 1 tackle. And he also grabbed an assist. So all round, fantastic performance from Rico. Really, really happy to see him. And yeah, both of them, you can tell that they played with each other a lot in the academy because it was just telepathic, interchanging, combining, and even Tijjani Reijnders was coming into that as well on that right-hand side, who we will get into later on in the video. But it was so great to see the unpredictable movement in the flanks. It was great to see. Maybe not so much on the left-hand side. I think Jeremy Doku, who is someone who I'm really excited about this season. I think he's really going to push on. I do think he had a bit of a difficult afternoon. And I think Ryan Aït-Nouri did really well against, obviously, his former side. But I think we carried a lot more threat on the right-hand side. Let's just say that. So, yeah, now we're talking about how unpredictable we were in possession, of course, and the wide areas. But overall, as a team, as the setup, our passing network compared to last season was so different. I'll try and put this image on the YouTube video now, which I saw on Twitter. I think it was SofaScore shared it. Correct me if I'm wrong, future Matt. But of course, you know, you can see how narrow we are last season, how condensed we are, how close the players are all together. In comparison to this season, you can see how Oscar Bobb and Doku especially really, really stretched the team as well. You've even got your defenders quite far apart from each other, the midfielders quite far apart from each other, and that shows confidence. Confidence from Pep in the players and confidence in the players in each other. You know, if they're all close together and stuff, they're doing these neat little passes, not taking many risks. But on Saturday, we saw City take so many risks. I'm saying, you know, this because of Rico Lewis and Oscar Bobb's performances, but there were so many other examples of players taking risks, and we reaped the rewards. 4-0 victory, that doesn't come from playing small, intricate passes. That comes from taking risks, and that's what City did, and that was great to see. But yeah, you could just see it in their body language as well. There was smiles on the faces. You know, of course, they're going to be smiling when they're winning, when they're scoring goals. But the players genuinely looked happy. They genuinely looked like they were having fun. They were being brave. They were being expressive. And that makes it so much harder for a team to defend, especially Wolves. Don't get me wrong. Wolves are going to probably have a tough season. They're not going to be up in the upper echelons of the league. They're not going to be competing for titles. Nevertheless, Wolves are a decent team, and they set up with a back five, with 4 in midfield, quite an intense setup. And every time we went out wide, they did press us really hard. So it wasn't the easiest team to come against. City are going to have tougher opponents, but it's a great start. And like I say, it was great to see us play with that expression, being brave in our play. Being brave in our play. Now I've got to mention the dream debut, Ruthless Reijnders. What a debut he had. The first Manchester City player to score and assist on his debut. Since when? Sergio Aguero, that legendary player. What a feat he's got there for him. And yeah, what a debut. Honestly, it looked like he'd been playing at Manchester City for absolutely years, starring for Manchester City for absolute years. That is not a normal thing to do. Come into a side like City and perform the way he did. 1 goal, 1 assist, 91 pass accuracy, 2 accurate long balls as well. Showed a little different side to his game, of course. He almost got the pre-assist for the first goal. He did that long ball, like almost chip into Rico Lewis's run, who then crossed it. Of course, Haaland finished off the move, which was something different. But he was absolutely everywhere. Box to box, making late runs into box. Wolves just couldn't handle him. They couldn't track his runs. And he gives energy, creativity, and a completely new dynamic to our midfield. And I've got to say, when Rodri's not in the team, I think that midfield three, Reijnders, Bernardo, and Nico, really, really worked well together. Really, really well gelled. And on Rodri, I can't wait to see Reijnders and Rodri play together. That must be a very scary thought for the rest of the league. But on Rodri and on Nico González debuted fantastically. It was absolutely flawless. Normally when Rodri's missing, we panic like we did last season. Overall, we had Kovacic, we had Gundogan, we had Akanji, we had anyone who could try and fit that role, just couldn't. On Saturday, Nico González stepped in and it felt like it was Rodri playing. It really, really did. 92 pass accuracy, most distance covered in the entire match, 12.4 kilometres. He was everywhere. He won 10 out of 11 ground duels, so, you know, very, very solid. Wasn't dribbled past once. That is a very, very Rodri stat, I've got to say. Held that midfield for his own, protect the back line. Like City missed so many times last season. 3 tackles, 1 interception, 4 successful dribbles as well, I've got to say. So he's offering that in his game as well, going forward, taking these risks, and I think he was absolutely fantastic, elegant in his play, and looked after the ball so, so well. A real linchpin in the midfield for City, but an absolute elite performance from him, controlling the tempo, protecting the defence. Great to see. It looks like Pep is finally putting his trust in him. Now, don't get me wrong, Rodri's out the side, so it feels obvious that Nico's going to play. But having said that, towards the end of last season when Rodri wasn't available, Nico came in for probably about 4 or 5 games since when he signed in January, and then he went back to Kovacic and Gundogan. So I think it's definitely showing like a new chapter is beginning for City, for Pep, and for Nico González. Hopefully now he gets a good run in the team. If he can continue to play like this, I hope that he makes it difficult for Rodri to get back in the team, doesn't just walk in, and is a real, not just a backup to Rodri, competes with him, you know? And based off that performance, I know it's a small sample size, he definitely can do that. And on debuts, like we mentioned with Reijnders, James Trafford thrown into the deep end a little bit. Obviously, Ederson's omission from the squad, looking like he's probably going to be going to Galatasaray. So it meant that James Trafford was thrown into the mix probably a bit sooner than he was expecting to. But a massive shout out to him. He was calm, composed, confident with his distribution. Everything you want to see in a Manchester City goalkeeper, he did. He was fantastic, and he got a clean sheet, pulling off some fantastic saves in the process. I think long term, he's going to be a massive, massive player for City. Still up in the air whether he's going to be our number one this season. Obviously, there's these rumours of Donnarumma. If you want to see my opinion on that move, check out my TikTok account, Mattalksball, where I've released a video basically saying that I don't really see him as a fit for Manchester City. Like most City fans, to be fair, I don't see many people really saying that, yes, that is a great signing. And he's going to limit James Trafford's chances. I think James Trafford has come into the club expecting, I imagine, this is me imagining, Ederson's got 1 year left on his deal. There's the clear pathway for him being the number one there. Listen, it's probably happened a bit sooner than he was expecting, but boy, oh boy, the early signs are looking good, and I would not change that, to be honest with you. But yeah, I was absolutely pleased with how we competed against Wolves, how we performed. Real marker down on the rest of the league, showing what we're about, that we are looking like we are back. But you know, the stat that impressed me probably the most, and something that really, really was a big change from last season, City covered the most ground in the Premier League this weekend compared to any of the other teams. 119.1 kilometres run by City. That's a massive shift in intensity compared to last year. Combine that work rate with the ruthless finishing that I mentioned, that we showed in the final third, and honestly, this City team could become impossible to stop. Don't get me wrong, emphasis on could. So many factors can happen. We can have injuries, etc. But the early signs are looking good. So to wrap it up, City have got their ruthless edge back, in my opinion. We're unpredictable. The new signings, Reijnders, Trafford, looked fantastic, looked ready, have improved us already. Nico González making a huge impact. Rico Lewis and Oscar Bobb linking up fantastically. Exciting times, exciting times. Hopefully more to come. Obviously, we've got Tottenham at the weekend. Looking forward to that one. But that's it for my first YouTube video. Hope you enjoyed it. There'll be a few edits in there, here and there. Obviously, it's not easy doing your first YouTube video, especially when I'm so used to short form videos on TikTok. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think of the video. Please like the video. Please subscribe. Let me know in the comments what players impress you the most for Manchester City. And I will see you next time. Up the Blues.